13 spine-chilling best friends horror stories, the sinister secrets revealed that haunt us all. It was a night when shadows danced in the corners of Leo's crumbling farmhouse, where legends whispered through cracked walls and the air crackled with tension. As Sarah, Mike, Jenna, and Leo settled around the flickering campfire, a sinister chill coursed through them. Tonight, they weren't just friends, they were teetering on the edge of something dark. A knock echoed through the quiet, making their hearts race. It felt like the house itself was breathing. As the embers glowed, Sarah's phone buzzed. "It's just a prank," she laughed nervously, revealing an anonymous text that sent shivers down her spine, names of past betrayals flashing like warning signs. Her laughter faded as she looked up at the stunned faces of her friends, no longer comforted by the warmth of flickering flames. Outside, the wind howled a warning. "Guys, this isn't funny," Mike said, his voice trembling. A sense of dread slithered through the group, turning their bond into chains of unspoken fears. The outlines of their shared childhood began to blur, fading among the shadows that gathered like vultures waiting to pick at their secrets. They had buried their betrayals deep, much like Old Man Crenshaw, the vengeful spirit who haunted the fields outside. "Remember the ghost stories?" Jenna's voice trembled as she spoke. "The one about the friend who disappeared just like that?" A hush fell over them, thick and suffocating. They recounted tales they once took lightly, words laced with every ghost's revenge. Shadows flickered as their bravado melted away, replaced by uncertainty. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As silence blanketed them, the atmosphere grew charged. One by one, the whispered admissions sliced through the air, like razor-sharp blades. Mike revealed his fear of abandonment as he prepared for deployment, forcing the group to confront an uncomfortable truth. Jenna spoke of her struggles with self-worth that trapped her in an echo chamber of doubt. Leo could barely meet their gazes, haunted by choices that left scars in their friendship. They exchanged glances, realizing they were exposed not by anonymous messages, but by the ties that had gathered weight. Suddenly, their phones went dark, plunging them into the raw echo of the night. Panic surged, the air turned thick with anxiety. They had come seeking solace, now they were trapped in a beast of their own making, shadows flickering beyond the walls, whispering accusations. Outside, a sudden crash made them jump, and the darkness seemed to close in. "Has someone followed us?" Leo shouted, eyes wide with fear. With panic clawing at their throats, they rushed to the door, but it slammed shut with a resounding crack, echoing like a death knell, sealing their fate and their secrets among them. They stared, breathless and horrified, knowing the night was far from over. Would they unravel the twisted threads of betrayal before the morning light, or succumb to the darkness that awaited? The house groaned, anticipating the revelations to come. The floorboards creaked as their frantic breaths mingled with the chilling silence that enveloped the room. Fear flooded their senses, and they instinctively huddled closer together, seeking warmth not just from the flames but from each other's presence. Mike's hand trembled as he reached for the flashlight that lay discarded beside the fire pit. The beam flickered to life, cutting through the oppressive darkness. "Jenna, check the windows. Make sure they're locked," Leo urged, his voice tight with urgency. Jenna shot him a shaky nod and darted toward the nearest window, her heart pounding in her chest. The creaky old frame resisted her touch, and she wrestled with it for an agonizing moment. With a final shove, it clicked shut, but her eyes remained fixed outside. The wind tousled the trees, casting eerie shadows across the yard. "Guys, look at this," Sarah whispered, pulling out her phone again. The screen illuminated her face, and she squinted as she scrolled. The anonymous text had vanished, replaced by a series of distorted photos, each picture revealing moments from their past, memories they thought were sacred. A night at the lake, a birthday party long forgotten. Smiling faces now appeared twisted and ghostly. "They're watching us," Sarah stammered, feeling as if the walls themselves were closing in. "No, this is just a sick joke," Mike insisted, but even he struggled with the rising panic in his voice. "There's got to be a reason all this is happening tonight." Suddenly, another crash echoed outside, louder this time. It was like the sound of something heavy being dragged across the porch. They froze, breaths hitching in their throats. Leo's heart raced. "What if it's old man Crenshaw?" he said, half mocking, half terrified. "What if he has come to collect?" "Stop it!" Jenna cried, her eyes wide. "We shouldn't even be talking about that, it's just stories, right?" But deep down, something in her trembled at the thought. She could almost feel his gaze penetrating the darkness, waiting, watching. The air thickened with a silence that resonated with dread, each beat of their hearts like a countdown to impending doom. With unsteady hands, Mike took the flashlight and pointed it toward the door. "We can't just wait here without knowing." Then, suddenly, the lights flickered on and off, plunging them into a strobe-like confusion. Each moment felt stretched, time distorting their fright. "What is happening?" Sarah shouted, her voice cracking, but the light stabilized, and in that brief moment, they saw something that froze their blood, a figure standing just outside the window, its features indistinct, yet enough to convey malice. "Get down!" Leo yelled, dropping to the floor as if instinct had taken over. In a swift motion, the figure vanished. The shadows outside danced ominously, but the moment of confrontation shook them deeply. They huddled together, every heartbeat a reminder of the secrets lurking both inside and outside the house. "Should we call for help?" Jenna suggested, her voice barely a whisper. "Maybe we can," and just like that, the power cut again, a suffocating pitch black that blanketed them in fear. The sound of glass shattering from the back of the house shattered their thoughts, prompting a shared, unspoken realization: they weren't alone anymore. "Someone's in the house," Mike gasped, the terror in his voice breaking through their growing hysteria. In the depths of that darkness, a chilling whisper echoed, sending icy chills down their spines. "You've dug too deep." Were their darkest secrets coming home to roost? With the seconds stretching dangerously, uncertainty loomed like a predator hungry for its prey. What awaited them in the suffocating shadows? Panic surged, a tidal wave of dread crashing over them as the realization sank in. Someone or something was inside the house. Mike's flashlight flickered again, the beam weak and trembling, casting long, straggly shadows that reached out like fingers towards the corners of the room. Each flicker made their hearts race, leaping with every heartbeat. "Jenna, what do we do?" Leo's voice quivered, desperate and terrified as he scanned the room, searching for anything they could use. Jenna's mind raced, thoughts colliding in a chaotic frenzy. "We need to find a way out," she whispered, glancing toward the front door that felt miles away. "Maybe we can sneak out the back." As if the house itself was in on their fear, a chilling breeze swept through the room, ruffling their hair and sending goosebumps rippling across their skin. The wind howled through the cracks, an echo of sinister laughter, mocking their plight. "Right," Mike nodded, trying to muster courage. "We move silently, okay? No yelling." They shuffled closer to the door, hearts pounding against their ribcages like frantic drums. With every creak of the floorboards beneath their feet, they jumped, fearing the worst. Yet, there was a weight in the air, a sense of something lurking just beyond their sight. Sarah, last in line, clutched her phone to her chest, the trembling light revealing beads of sweat forming on her brow. "Maybe we should just stay here and wait for help," she suggested, her voice barely above a whisper. Jenna shot her a look. "And let whatever's out there find us?" "No way." They reached the door, and Mike grabbed the cold handle, pausing for a moment. "On 3, he breathed, counting in his head. 1, 2, 3. He yanked the door open with a sudden burst of adrenaline, exposing the darkened hall outside. Cold air seeped in, carrying the smell of damp earth and something rancid. "Go!" he roared, shoving Jenna through the door first, then Leo, with Sarah trailing behind, their urgency pushing aside the stark chill creeping up their spines. As they stepped out, the shadows crawled through the corners of the hallway, alive with possibilities of what might be waiting. A twisted glimpse of movement caught Mike's eye. "Did you see that?" he asked, voice cracking. "What?" Jenna gasped, glancing back, panic gripping her as the door slammed shut behind them with a deafening bang. "I swear, something just moved." His breath hitched. "Right there." The hallway felt impossibly long, stretching out as though it was mocking them. They turned to run, but the moment they did, the temperature plummeted, freezing them in their tracks. A voice murmured from the shadows, deep and reverberating, "Why did you come back?" Jenna's heart skipped. "We didn't mean to," she shouted, desperation clawing at her throat. "We just want to leave." A crack echoed again, louder this time, as if something was being dragged across the floor above them. They flinched, instinct pushing them to cover their heads from an invisible danger. "Upstairs," Leo blurted. "We need to see what's happening. Maybe we can find a weapon." "Are you crazy?" Sarah exclaimed, tears streaming down her cheeks. "What if it's worse up there? Or what if it's just a trick?" Mike said, voice rising in panic. "We have to know. We can't just stand here." With that, they exchanged glances, the weight of their decision settling heavily on their shoulders. The age-old question: should they confront the unseen terror, or run blindly into the night? The noise continued from above, something scraping, something alive. "Together?" Jenna murmured, fear making her voice tremble. "Together," the others echoed, united in their choice, stepping toward the staircase. With each step, dread coiled tighter around their hearts. Shadows loomed, whispering their secrets. What awaited them in that darkened realm above? The staircase creaked ominously as they ascended, the familiar sound now transformed into an echo of impending doom. Each step seemed to amplify the tension in the air, pressing down on their shoulders like an invisible weight. Mike led the way, his flashlight flickering wildly, sending erratic beams of light darting up the worn steps. "Keep it steady," Jenna urged, her voice a fragile thread of courage. "We can't afford to lose the light." "You think?" Mike shot back, a hint of sarcasm mixed with fear in his tone. With every upward stride, the temperature dropped further, the hair on the back of Sarah's neck standing on end. She could feel a presence looming over them, watching, waiting. The scraping from above grew louder, now accompanied by faint whispers, a cacophony of words unintelligible yet undeniably sinister. "Do you hear that?" Leo whispered, his eyes wide with terror. "It sounds like breathing," Jenna replied, dread pooling in her stomach. They halted on the last step, the hallway stretched before them, dark thicker than the shadows behind them. They glanced at each other, minds racing. "Let's check the first room," Mike suggested, his voice quavering. "It's as good a place as any." They stepped carefully to a door on the left. The wood was ancient, its surface gnarled and weathered. Mike turned the handle slowly, a sharp creak resonating through the suffocating silence. The door swung open, revealing a room filled with dust-covered furniture, cobwebs draping over mismatched chairs like shrouds. "There's nothing here," Sarah murmured, relief washing over her, albeit briefly. Just then, a loud crash reverberated from the far side of the hallway. A chill coursed through Jenna's veins as she instinctively turned toward the sound. "Did you see that?" she gasped, pointing toward a shifting shadow in a corner. It flickered out of view almost as soon as she noticed it, like a nightmare igniting in their minds, refusing to be fully recognized. "Move!" Mike shouted. They sprinted out of the room, hearts pounding fiercely in their chests. The shadow followed, lurking just at the edge of their flashlight's beam. They rounded the corner, breathless, when Jenna stopped dead in her tracks. The back door, we can get out through there. She rushed forward, but something grimy and cold brushed past her legs. She shrieked, feeling an icy grip wrap around her ankle. "Jenna!" Leo yelled, reaching for her. Mike turned, the flashlight illuminating a figure emerging from the darkness. It was unlike anything they had ever seen, gaunt and twisted, its eyes set deep within its skull, glowing with an eerie light. The figure beckoned with bony fingers, its mouth opening and closing as though it was trying to speak, but no sound emerged. "Run!" Jenna screamed, wrenching herself free and stumbling away from the ghastly creature. They fled down the hallway, adrenaline pumping, the spectre's malevolent laughter echoing in their ears like a death knell. Desperation gripped them. "Into a room!" Mike shouted, forcing himself to push open another door, pulling the others in after him. They slammed it shut, hearts racing, pressing their backs against the wooden barrier. Breathing heavily, Leo glanced around the dim room. "What now? It's not going to stop, is it?" The sounds outside grew louder, pounding like a war drum. "What if we just keep hiding?" Sarah whimpered, her face pale. "What if it gets in?" But then a strangled wheeze filled the silence as the cries transformed into something more sinister. A voice, deep and haunting, whispered from the shadows, "If you stay too long you'll never leave." Jenna felt a new fear bloom. "It's waiting for us to make a mistake." They exchanged terrified glances, realizing just how high the stakes had risen. Sudden silence cloaked the room, a weight in the air that felt darker, more oppressive than before. The door shook violently, sending tremors through their bodies. Something was trying to get in. "Breathe," Mike instructed, though his own breath hitched in his throat. They huddled together, sharing fear and determination. But outside the door, they knew one truth: something far worse than their wildest imaginings lurked just a heartbeat away. What would happen if they dared to confront it? The door rattled again, a low growl simmering on the other side. Jenna could feel the wood trembling beneath her fingertips, the vibration swirling a sense of dread deep within her. "Maybe it's just the wind," Leo suggested, though his voice was shaky, a poor attempt at reassurance. "Right. In a place like this?" Sarah shot back. Her eyes darted around the dim room, searching for an escape that might not exist. The whispers resumed, wrapping around them like tendrils of smoke. "You can't hide forever." The words coiled in the air, chilling every nerve. Mike pulled the flashlight close, its beam momentarily illuminating a grotesque portrait on the wall. The painting depicted a family, their eyes glistening with a feral hunger, smiles eerily stretched across their faces. They were more than just painted figures, they felt alive, watching, waiting a reminder of who they could become. "Let us find another way out," Mike finally suggested, a tremor in his voice betraying the facade of confidence he was trying to maintain. Nods of agreement shuffled around the group. They needed to act. Leo moved first, inching toward the room's far wall where a window seemed to breathe desperation into the stale air. "Help me with this," he whispered urgently, pulling at the rusted latch. Sarah backed away from the door while Jenna, eyes wide, stumbled toward the window. As Leo pried it open, a rush of cool air flooded in, a lifeline until a sickening scream echoed from the depths of the house. The others froze, the tenor of the cry cutting through them, spilling into their hearts an inkling of what awaited if they lingered. "There's something out there," Jenna breathed, her instinct urging her to retreat. "Shoo!" Mike hissed, panic slipping into the air. But it was too late. The door burst open with a deafening crash, splintered wood flying across the room like shrapnel. In the doorway stood the grotesque figure, more defined now under the flickering flashlight. Its mouth stretched wider than humanly possible, revealing jagged teeth gleaming with blood. It lunged. "Run!" Jenna shrieked, lunging for the window as her friends were frozen by the sheer horror before them. They scrambled toward her, but in the chaos, Leo stumbled back, caught in the creature's ghastly maw. A terrible crunch echoed, swallowed by the harsh wind that slipped through the open window. Not looking back, Mike and Sarah grabbed Jenna's arms, hoisting her through the narrow gap. They tumbled out onto the embankment, and as they hit the ground, Jenna's heart raced with a mix of adrenaline and despair. "Leo!" Sarah cried out, panic flaring in her eyes. "Forget him. We have to go." Mike yelled, tugging Jenna away from the house. As they staggered into the night, evading the grim structure behind them, the creature's haunting laughter pursued them, lingering in the chill of darkness. The forest loomed ahead, trees standing as silent sentinels, but even there, they could feel the creature's gaze, waiting. "What now?" Sarah gasped, breathless from fear and exertion. "Head toward the road," Mike directed, glancing back at the house. It was a silhouette against the moonlit sky, menacing and dreadful. Their hearts pounded, urging them to flee as fast as they could. In the chaos, they hadn't noticed a fine mist gathering around their feet, until it reached their ankles, cold and clammy. Suddenly, the ground beneath shifted, and with a horrendous crack, the earth opened, swallowing them into a dark chasm, spiraling into the unknown. As they fell, the last thing they heard before everything turned dark was the figure's voice echoing from above. You can never escape. When they landed, a new fear washed over them. Where were they now? What waited in the shadows of this new darkness? What horrors awaited, just out of sight? Jenna's eyes fluttered open to an overwhelming pitch black. She felt a cool, damp earth beneath her and instinctively tried to push herself up, but her limbs felt heavy, almost unresponsive. Panic clawed at her throat. "Mike? Sarah?" she croaked out, her voice barely breaking the silence. A low groan echoed back, and she froze. It wasn't the sound she had hoped for. Seconds turned into what felt like an eternity as her heart raced, heavy and loud in her chest. She strained to listen, the silence pressing in around her like a thick fog, smothering. "Jenna!" A voice pierced through, and it took a moment for her to recognize it as Mike's. "Where are you?" she shouted, trying to keep her panic in check. Her hands found the ground, raw earth and sharp stones grating against her skin. "Over here!" Sarah called, her voice shaky but alive, a tether in the dark. Jenna's relief was short-lived as she began crawling, feeling her way blindly in the inky blackness. The air was heavy, the smell of damp wood and decay mingling around them. Jenna squinted into the dark, trying to adjust her eyes. Suddenly, the bickering and whispers from before flooded her mind. They had escaped the house, hadn't they? But how? "Are you okay?" Mike's voice came again, closer now. "Yes." Jenna gasped, cutting her words short as she heard that familiar growl, low and menacing, a sound that reverberated through the ground beneath her. "It's back," Sarah whispered, her breath hitching. "We need to move." Jenna pushed forward, hands scrabbling against the gravelly surface, a desperate attempt to make sense of their surroundings. They had fallen into a pit, but how deep? Was it a burial ground, an old well? "Do you feel that?" Mike broke in, his voice laced with confusion. "What?" Jenna asked, trying to stay focused as the ground vibrated with every low rumble echoing within the dark. Footsteps slithering. "Like something is coming closer," he replied, and Jenna felt the chill creep down her spine. The mist from before had thickened into a tangible haze, swirling around their feet. She could hear Sarah's panicked breathing beside her. They needed to find a way out, but the oppressive darkness felt claustrophobic, almost suffocating. "Hold on," Jenna urged, pushing herself up to her feet. "Let us find a wall or something." She stumbled forward, guided by instinct, but as she stepped onto the surface, the ground shifted again. It wasn't just the pit she had fallen into, it was alive, heaving as if it were breathing. Jenna stumbled back just as a jagged form broke through the surface, glistening wetly in the feeble light of the moon that slipped through a crack above. "Back!" she shouted, pushing Sarah and Mike behind her. "What is that?" Sarah screamed, her voice trailing off as fear etched itself into every word. The creature, a slithering mass of sinewy darkness, coiled and uncoiled, its mouth a gaping abyss filled with sharp, glimmering spikes. It moved with an unnatural grace, seeking them like a predator, a nightmare come to life, feeding off their terror. "Run!" Mike shouted, but where? The entire structure felt like a living entity, shifting, pulling them deeper into its bowels. They darted forward, the ground giving way beneath them several times, but there was no way out. No clear path of escape. The whispers returned, thick as the dark mist swirling around them. "You thought you could flee, you can't hide, we are here." Jenna skidded to a stop, her breath caught in her throat. She felt their escape slipping away, each second dragging, grinding against her mind, a stark reminder that they were utterly trapped. "We have to do something," she managed to whisper, the weight of reality pressing down like a vice, but just then, silence enveloped them. The breathing of the creature stilled, the whispers quieted, and all that remained was an unnerving stillness. Were they too late? Had they already become part of its malevolent tapestry? In that haunting silence, a light flickered ahead, beckoning them. It was feeble, like a candle fighting against the dark. "Over here!" Mike hissed. His eyes wide with hope. As they stumbled blindly toward the light, a low, guttural chuckle erupted from the shadows behind them. They felt it then, its breath, hot and rancid, filling the space between them. "Where are you running to?" The real horror is just beginning. What awaited them in that flickering glow? Would it be their salvation, or something far worse? Jenna pushed ahead, desperation propelling her toward the flickering light. Each step felt like a burden, the ground shifting beneath her, the weight of fear clinging to her like a heavy cloak. The laughter from the shadows faded, but not the sensation of being hunted. "Jenna! Wait!" Mike's voice called, but it sounded distant, muffled as if swallowed by the darkness. Jenna glanced back, her heart racing. There was no time. They couldn't be separated, the creature wouldn't give them mercy. Gripping Sarah's arm, she pulled her forward. "We have to keep moving." The sodden earth beneath them squelched, the wet chill creeping into their bones. The light grew stronger, revealing an ancient stone archway ahead. Ivy crawled over it like fingers, claiming the past. But the very sight sent a jolt of hope and dread. What lay beyond could either lead them to salvation or a deeper hell. "Should we?" Sarah began, but was interrupted by a loud crash behind them. The creature, whatever it was, roared, a sound that shook the very air around them. The ground trembled, snapping branches and dislodging stones. "Go!" Jenna shouted, forcing her feet into motion. They rushed through the archway and into a narrow passage. Cold stone walls closed in, glistening with moisture. The air was stale, tinged with a metallic scent that made Jenna nauseous. "Where is this place?" Mike panted, his face pale. "I don't know." Jenna admitted, her mind racing. They had stumbled upon some subterranean labyrinth. The whispers grew louder, echoing off the stone like specters swirling around them. "Do you hear that?" Sarah's eyes were wide, almost wild, as she leaned in closer. The whispers twisted into words, slithering through her mind like poison. "Join us forever sheltered from the light." "Stop. Don't listen to it." Jenna screamed, shaking her head. The voices sounded almost familiar, tainted by a sorrowful lure. Images flickered in her mind, faces, memories from before, friends lost to the darkness. "Keep moving," Jenna urged, a twisted urgency clawing at her insides. They sprinted down the passage, and the walls seemed to pulse, closing in tighter with every beat of their hearts. Then, they skidded to a halt. Another opening loomed ahead, but there it was again, a creeping dread, cold and real. Deep shadows shifted, distortions lurking at the edges of the light. Jenna felt her gut twist as she realized they were no longer alone in this void. What is that?" Mike gasped, pointing. A figure emerged from the shadows, a woman cloaked in tattered rags, her hair hanging like weeds. Her eyes glowed faintly, a dim light that seemed to draw in the darkness. "Help us!" Jenna shouted instinctively, desperation spilling into her voice. The woman laughed, a sound both beautiful and chilling. There is no help here, child. Only choices. What do you mean? Sarah stammered, stepping back, but the woman stretched an elongated finger, pointing at the flickering light behind them. Those who seek the light must understand its cost. What cost? Jenna's chest tightened, realizing they were trapped in yet another riddle with time running thin. The woman leaned closer, her smile sharp as glass. You resist the darkness, but it knows you. Time is no ally to those who run. Each moment should bind you closer. Suddenly, a thunderous crack echoed, and the entire passage shuddered violently. Walls crumbled, stone sluicing down as the creature's roar echoed in pursuit. They were losing ground. Run! Mike yelled, but fate revealed its hand. The ground beneath yawned open, a chasm forming beneath them. With a scream, Jenna felt gravity seize her, pulling her and her friends toward the waiting abyss. They stumbled back, but the creature lunged from the shadows, jaws wide. You cannot escape. Join us. Jenna's scream echoed as darkness enveloped them, the whispers crescendoing, forever trapped, forever ours. As they fell into the depths, a terrifying thought clawed at her mind. What if the creature was the only way out? What if joining it was their only chance of survival? In that moment, the light flickered one last time, before darkness swallowed them whole. What awaited them at the bottom? Would they find a way to escape, or become part of the very terror they tried to flee? The moment Jenna felt herself plummet, everything turned into a chaotic blur. Wind rushed past her, mingling with the laughter of the creature that chased them into oblivion. She grasped desperately at Sarah's hand, but the darkness was thick, suffocating, asking them to give in. Just as the air seemed to vanish from her lungs, Jenna's body slammed against something solid. The impact jolted her senses alive, but pain coursed through every fiber of her being. She lay there disoriented, eyes struggling to adjust to the dim light that flickered far above. Sarah! Mike! Her voice cracked as it echoed into the void. The heavy silence swallowed her call. Jenna? Mike's voice drifted through the darkness, faint but real. Relief washed over her, but it was quickly overshadowed by the sense of dread creeping in. Down here. She took in her surroundings. Rough stone walls closed in, dripping with moisture. The air was cold, but the humidity felt oppressive. A low hum vibrated through the ground, making her skin crawl. Are you okay? Mike's shadow emerged, followed closely by Sarah. Relief flooded Jenna as she saw their weary faces. What happened? Jenna asked, her heart racing. We fell, Sarah whispered. But where are we? In that instant, Jenna noticed something else. Reflecting from the faint light above, strange shapes decorated the walls. Flicking her gaze, she squinted, trying to make sense of the jagged surfaces. They were not mere rocks. Grotesque faces seemed embedded in the stone, frozen in anguish with mouths wide as if they were screaming. Look! Mike pointed, voice trembling. Those faces, like they're trapped. A chill skittered up Jenna's spine. Trapped like us? That low hum intensified, resonating in her chest. Jenna felt a shift in the atmosphere, a weight pressing down. It wasn't just the stone closing in on them. No, something was shifting beneath their feet. Should we go back? Sarah suggested, glancing nervously over her shoulder. No, Jenna insisted. We have to keep moving. The creature could be right above us. She led the way down a narrow path. As they pressed on, the whispers returned, softer this time. The words twisted and curled around them, a haunting lullaby that beckoned. Stay, join us. Her pulse quickened. Ignore the voices. Don't listen. Ahead, the corridor widened into a larger room, dimly lit by bioluminescent fungi clinging to the stone. The sight was surreal, a beauty hidden in horror. We need light. Jenna looked around, her heart racing. There must be something we can use. A flicker of movement in the shadows caught her eye. A figure loomed, half concealed. A man, his silhouette sharp against the glowing fungi, stepped into the light. "Welcome to the depths," he rasped, a slow smile spreading across his face. "Who are you?" Mike demanded. The man tilted his head, eyes sparkling with malice. "Someone who once sought escape like you. But I found a different path." "What do you want?" Sarah asked, inching closer to Jenna. He chuckled, a bizarre sound that echoed eerily against the walls. "To show you the truth of this place. Only then can you choose your fate." Jenna's instincts screamed at her. "What truth?" "The truth about the creature," he replied, stepping closer. Just then, a thunderous roar shook the cave. The walls trembled, and the ground beneath them cracked. "Run!" Jenna shouted, adrenaline surging through her veins. They stumbled and darted toward a side tunnel, but the ground split further, jagged teeth of stone breaking through the floor. Shadows surged forward, engulfing the man who had approached them. His scream reverberated through the cave, a warning, a plea. As Jenna and her friends fled, uncertainty clawed at her heart. Was the creature truly the only way out? Or was it a trap laid by something far worse? "Keep going," she urged, but the whispers grew louder around them, demanding their attention, promising relief, beckoning them with tantalizing promises. Jenna's resolve faltered for a brief moment. What if listening was the key? But as the darkness closed in again, she knew one undeniable truth: they could not stay lost in the shadows. Yet with each fleeing footstep, a chilling question lingered. What would they face if they chose to uncover the truth, or worse, what if they succumbed to the darkness completely? As the path narrowed, Jenna's heart raced, decisions looming like a creeping dread. Would the truth set them free, or would it seal their fate forever? The darkness throbbed around them, pulsating with a malevolence that was almost alive. Jenna's pulse quickened as she pushed forward, leading Mike and Sarah deeper into the labyrinth. Every step felt heavier, as if the very ground protested their presence. "Did you hear that?" Mike whispered, a tremor in his voice as they moved into the next chamber. A low growl echoed off the stone walls, reverberating through their chests like a distant storm. "What if it's the creature?" Sarah's eyes were wide, the glimmer of anxiety making her voice quiver. "Shoo!" Jenna hissed, raising a hand. Behind her, she could hear the faint whispers again, those haunting, sweet voices calling them to stay. "We can't stop. We have to find another way out." The cave twisted, the path narrowing and widening at startling intervals. Shadows danced along the walls, but they were not the flicker of light Jenna craved. These shadows moved with intent, too deliberate, too ominous. One shift caught her eye, a figure retreating just out of sight, as if watching them. "What was that?" she asked, barely keeping the panic from her voice. "Probably just the light playing tricks," Mike replied, but his eyes darted nervously. As they pressed onward, Jenna's instincts screamed at her to turn back, but the thought of the creature looming above kept her feet moving. They came to a large cavern, its ceiling lost in darkness. The bioluminescent fungi glowed brighter, almost inviting, casting a sickly green hue over the rock. And in that light, she saw something that made her stomach twist: bones. They lay scattered across the ground, tangled with roots and dirt. Not just animal bones, these were human. Cracked skulls stared at them with hollow eyes, and Jenna's breath caught in her throat. "Oh God, what is this place?" Sarah gasped, covering her mouth. "We have to leave now." Mike gulped down his fear. "Look for a way out. There has to be one." But as they searched the walls of the cavern, Jenna felt a creeping sensation like fingers brushing against her back. "Did you feel that?" Jenna turned sharply. A fleeting shadow slipped past, too quick to be recognized. The whispers escalated, echoing off the walls. Stay with us." Jenna's heart raced as she focused on the shadow, its outline morphing into something monstrous against the glow. The faint echo of laughter punctuated the air, taunting them, growing louder, pressing against her mind. Enough! Jenna yelled, frustration boiling over. We need to focus. Suddenly, a slithering sound drew her attention, a small shape darting along the ground. A rat? No, it was too big, too dark. Jenna stepped back, her heart thumping. Look out! Mike shouted, pointing behind them. A creature, disfigured and slathering, emerged from the shadows, its eyes gleaming with a hunger that sent cold fear spiraling down Jenna's spine. It resembled the faces etched into the walls but melted and malformed, a ghastly parody of life. Run! Jenna screamed, adrenaline sparking through her veins. They fled blindly, the cries of the ravenous creature chasing them through the cavernous void. The whispers transformed into wails of torment, growing louder, drowning out everything else. The stone walls felt alive, shifting and closing in. Darkness clung to them, wrapping around them like a noose. Where do we go? Sarah panted, terror glazing her eyes. Stay with me. Jenna cried, frantically searching for an exit as the echo of thundering footsteps drew closer. The creature was gaining on them, its breath reeking of rot and despair. Ahead, a pale light flickered. Hope? Or a cruel trick? Jenna fought against the icy grip of doubt, propelled forward by sheer terror. They burst into a small chamber bathed in silvery light, the ground beneath glowing eerily. What is this place? Mike breathed, his voice barely a whisper. In the center stood a pedestal, a stone carved with ancient symbols that glimmered ominously. And just atop it, an object reflecting the light, a key, twisted and gnarled, pulsating with energy. Take it! Jenna cried, her mind racing. It might be the key to escape. But as Mike reached for it, another roar pierced the air. The creature was upon them, its grotesque form shadowing the light. The whispers turned into thunder, drowning out reality. Jenna, what do we do? She had no answer. The walls seemed to close in, hearts pounding like war drums. Grab the key. Now! But would that be their salvation or a trap that sealed their fate? As the beast lunged, Jenna realized one terrifying truth: they had to make a choice, and sometimes, the darkest truths were the ones that kept you alive. What would they choose when faced with the very heart of despair, and would they survive the darkness that sought to claim them? With a shuddering breath, Jenna reached out, electrified by fear and a sliver of hope. She could feel the weight of the moment settling like a leaden blanket across their shoulders. Mike, wait! She shouted as he lunged for the key, his fingers almost grazing its surface. The creature let out a roar that tore through the air, deep and guttural, shaking the very ground beneath them. Shadows twisted and curled at the edges, pulsating with the creature's malevolent energy. Time slowed as the creature's ghastly maw gaped wide, its eyes blazing with ravenous hunger. Mike! Jenna screamed, her voice raw with terror. Don't! In that split second, their destinies hung in the balance. Would inserting the key into the lock of their salvation lead to freedom or further entrapment in darkness? The air around them thickened, suffocating and heavy, as chaos erupted. Mike's hand halted just in time. The noise of the creature grew, reverberating like thunder in her chest. What? He yelled, bewildered, fear dancing in his wide eyes. If we don't take it now, we might not get another chance. Then let us think this through. Jenna pleaded, scrambling. We have to figure out its price. The dark laughter of the whispers slithered around them, fangs bared against the throbbing silence. As if sensing their hesitation, the creature lunged again, sharper and more determined. In the blinding moment before its fangs cracked down, Jenna shouted, the truth. We need to know the truth. Each word flew from her lips, carrying desperation as the memories of their lives flickered through her mind. How they got here, their secrets, and the true nature of friendships and choices. There was a moment's stillness. The creature paused, the laughter dying down, revealing a low humming sound as its eyes blinked. What truth? The creature rasped, its voice like grinding stone, chilling her bones. The truth that brings us here. Jenna spat. We sought friendship, but we fed our darkness, we cherished betrayal over trust. Her heart thundered against her ribcage, each syllable clawing its way out. Mike and Sarah's shocked expressions urged her on. Choose, the creature hissed. Save yourselves, join your lost friend or lose everything. Leo. Sarah gasped, tears glistening in her eyes. Oh God, we left him. We can't save him. Mike cried, his voice trembling. The gravity of their situation pressed upon them like a vice. Forget him? The creature laughed, the sound echoing through caverns like a siren. He is part of you now. He'll carry your choices. Jenna felt as if a storm raged within her, swirling chaos and memories. We can't let our fears bind us. We need the light. She turned to the glowing key, its aura pulsating, shimmering with answers, with everything they needed to confront the true terror that sought to consume them. With sheer determination rising in her throat, Jenna stepped toward the pedestal. I'll take the key. She shouted, conviction flowing through her veins. I choose hope over despair. I choose to confront my fears. As she reached for it, the creature roared again, and time snapped back. Possibilities rushed at her from every direction, the darkness clawing for her ankles, the warmth of light blazing forward. Grab my hand. Mike shouted, lunging toward Jenna, his voice fierce and unwavering. She clasped his fingers tightly, joined by Sarah's shaking grip. Together. As Jenna's fingers wrapped around the key, a blinding light erupted, illuminating their surroundings. The creature shrieked, dissolving into shadows as the walls trembled. Voices cascaded down upon them, whispering words of caution, regret, but they pressed onward. Now! Jenna yelled, pulling Mike and Sarah toward the archway. They didn't stop to look back as the cavern began to collapse, the darkness retreating. As they sprinted through the whirl of glimmering light, anchored by unity forged from pain, they emerged gasping into moonlit air, the chill of night biting at their cheeks but a brilliant dawn breaking overhead, their world reborn. Breathless, they collapsed in a heap, hearts pounding as stars twinkled overhead. They turned to one another, moving eyes filled with raw emotions, understanding washed over each of them. Sarah whimpered, Jenna's heart ached with unresolved grief for their friend left behind, but she felt their new fragile bond pulse alive. We'll find him. Together. They stood, hand in hand, determination etched in their faces as they took a breath, scenting freedom mingling with the whispering winds. Their journey would be long, but they wouldn't allow betrayal of the past to define their futures. No more secrets would haunt them. Let us go home, Mike murmured, looking each of them in the eyes, and one thing was certain: they would not walk that road alone. They started their trek down the familiar trail, each step filled with both longing and hope, ready to face whatever awaited them but carrying the knowledge of darkness, illuminating their way like a beacon. Now, that's a story wrapped in courage. But your story doesn't have to be over. If you want more spine-tingling tales, you need to subscribe now. Smash that like button now to fuel our adventures and flood the comments section with your reactions and theories. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who crave thrilling conclusions. Show your support because only true fans know the power of this moment.